on the subscribe thing. So I gotta wait for the bus and heading home. Wasn't planning to go home today, but again, they do these things to emotionally affect you or to have you worry. They can trigger anxiety, right? So, like I said, I've been calling everybody and no one answering their phone. At least everybody that's here, all right? Like who I usually contact, all right? So yeah, being that Pam and the kids on vacation, you know, so they know. So again, last night they were actually the attack of my business. They've been having me on the heavy remote monitoring, and last night they sent me subliminal about trying to extort money from me, and so, I was just thinking, and I was like, oh, they're trying to extort money from me. That's exactly what it is. And then a few minutes later, the New York Credit Department showed up with their sirens, and also the the Fecal Department of New York, which is the fire department, they showed up with the sirens. So yeah. Anyhow, spoke to the kids last night. I spoke to Alyssa actually and Pam. It was about minutes to 12. I asked to speak to my son, and she's like, "Oh, he meets some new friends and he goes hanging out." And I said to her, "Look, it is 12 o'clock, and you have him out there with people who he doesn't even know, with kids he doesn't even know, And she was like, "We're on the ship," and I said, "It doesn't matter. A lot of shit happens on the ship, And this is the shit that kills me with her. When it comes to having some sort of concern or care, she doesn't. She again not understanding things happens on ships, right? And yeah, you're in much closer proximity, but still, shit happens on ship. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So at 12 o'clock, I'm not having my 14-year-old running around on the ship with kids that he barely even know, and he barely even know them. And you're not making friends. They're not friends. They just newly formed associates, and she doesn't even understand how to make those distinctions, right? She does not even understand how to make those distinctions from what is a friend and who's an associate, right? And particularly when you're on a ship, you just meet people. They're not your friends, okay? You don't have a history together to say that you're friends. You just met. You're on a ship. And so, she was like, I don't want to talk about that and this and that and such and such. So I was just like, all right, I told her, I said, all right, well, listen, you have a good time, whatever. She was going to some party. Look at these perps. Yeah, they think they have the upper hand. So look at them. They think they have the upper hand. So anyway, when I was, when I spoke to Pam last night, she was all dressed up. My daughter was dressed up and going to some midnight gala, what have you, on the ship, or what have you, And so, and I was just like, I wouldn't have my 14-year-old running around on the ship with kids or whatever that he barely even know, okay? And from what she told me, she was like, they're like the only black people on the ship. I'm like, okay, it's one of those European cruise ship that goes to the Caribbean, but they stop here in New York to pick up passengers, right? So, I just like shaking my head and just like, many of us who are too comfortable being around a whole bunch of white people, and in their minds, they figure that the majority of these white people have good intentions. And we know they don't. For those of us who truly understand, the reality, our situation, not just as individuals, but as black people, we know this, right? And so when you take chances like that, particularly with your children, it just shows me that, you really don't care about your kids. What you care about is your own feelings and you can give a damn what your kids' feelings and their safety. And I've talked to her about this many a time, because she gets around people and, she turns into a totally different personality. And I've had this experience once before with my oldest son with his mother, when, she gets around people and I'm just like, wait, who are you? Like, she turned into a whole different people. But when you're together, they show you their true self, who they truly are, right? And at the time, like I said, too many of us being raised by single mothers who don't teach us the reality, who don't teach us about women, who don't teach us about, different personalities of people, because they don't know also, because they haven't been taught. So, not to disparage or blame, but just to say, they haven't been taught that also. So if you're ignorant growing up, even into your adulthood, you're not educated, not in terms of schooling, but in terms of worldly experience, in terms of seeing people for who they are, interacting with people on a realistic level. But when you're raised with religious parents or religious parents they're highly religious, they tend to ignore these things, and you are the sheep, right? You are the sheep, because they call themselves sheeps in their religious custom, in their religious belief. A flock. They call themselves the flock of Jesus, right? They're not going to teach you anything that's substantial. They're not. They're not going to teach you about sex, STDs, pregnancy, the different personalities of people you may come across, how to judge people based on character, but they send you out to this world thinking that everybody's good, and you pray to God, and whatever you pray to, things will happen. You remain faithful, things will happen. But black people are the most faithful people in religion, but we have the worst outcome. So there you go. They ignore reality because of their religious belief system. Anyway, talk to you guys soon.